Hello and welcome to Woodbridge, the best town around. My name is John McCormick. I'm the mayor of the great town of Woodbridge, and we're here tonight to celebrate International Overdose Awareness Day. Let me first introduce some of the people up here at the dais who won't be speaking. To my far left is one of our at-large councilmen, Greg Ficara. To his right is Gabriella Pasternak. She is the admin for our Division of Addiction Services. To her right is Michelle Conway. She is the new director of that division. To her right is Phil Bajowski, who was just named he will be named the director of the entire health department, and in 4 weeks he'll take over that job. We just had that whole thing going on yesterday. And then to my right is Anna Radowski, who is with our community affairs division of the police department. The other three people will be speaking. If they could, I'd just like to read this proclamation. Whereas the Woodbridge Township Department of Health, Office of Addiction Services, under the leadership of Michelle Conway and formerly Dr. Bonnie Nolan, has embarked on a mission to attack the opioid addiction crisis through an aggressive one-on-one assistance program geared to save the lives of residents caught up in opioid addiction. And whereas the Office of Addiction Services and Peer Recovery Program stands as the model for the state of New Jersey, through collaboration with JFK Hospital in Edison, Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital in Rahway, and the Raritan Bay Medical Center in Perth Amboy, along with private sector group recovery specialists, to assist township residents suffering from opioid addiction and further provide addiction response, intervention, and social service programs to 7 other towns in Middlesex County: Edison, Perth Amboy, South Amboy, Sayre, Below Bridge, Carteret, and New Brunswick. So this program is so good that 7 other towns copy it. And I should have mentioned some very important people in the room here. We have Denise, we have Mary, and Lynn, who are our recovery coaches. And there's probably might be others here, and if I don't know you all, I'm sorry, but at least I know you three. So thank you also for being here. I'd like to first turn this over to Chris Powers. He is the recovery coach coordinator for us. He does a phenomenal job. He's been with us for many, many years. He's the guy who gets the calls at all hours of the night, and he's got to make sure somebody gets out to help somebody when they're in need. And it's just been a great employee for us. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Powers.
Hello and welcome to, my name's Chris. Hello and welcome to Woodbridge Township National Overdose Day. And I just want to let everyone know I'm a survivor of opioids addiction. And I would like to thank Woodbridge Township, the Mayor John McCormick, and the Health Department Director Phil, Bonnie Nolan, Gabby, Michelle, all the recovery coaches involved with helping the community within Woodbridge Addiction Services. Let's give a big hand for that. And that excites me a lot, because without this program, we wouldn't be able to be here to save lives. So International Overdose Day, aims to raise awareness through overdose and reduce the stigma of drug-related death. I would like to start off by also celebrating the lives that struggle with addiction. That's something else that we have to deal with. Also, I also struggle with opioids. I lost a lot of friends growing up. I grew up in the Clare Avenue section of Woodbridge. I used to ride bikes in the swamps over there. Out of the 10 of us that hung out every day as high school kids, there's 4 of us left. And I just actually recently found out that another one died that hung out back there. So there's actually 3 of us left. The other guy passed away this year, all due to drugs and opioids and overdose deaths. So I've struggled with that for many years. So that's why I'm here to keep up the good fight. And hold on a second, the wind's not helping me. And October 28th, 2014 is when I decided to change and turn my life around. And I'm still dealing with the death toll, and the overdoses are still happening. The fentanyl is still out there killing people. And the only thing I could say is the program like this is the best program around that's helping people.
Battery.
Hello? Yeah.
Oh, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Anyway. So, basically, why does International Overdose matter to me? It matters to me because everyone who dies in an overdose is someone's child, sibling, parent, aunt, or cousin, and friend, and they all had gifts that they could have shared with the world if we valued them more. A big thing that I liked what's going on is harm reduction. I believe totally that if we had more harm reduction back in the day, maybe some of my friends would still be alive. I also want to just share this real quick information. In New Jersey right now, there's 32 deaths per 100,000 residents. But I also want to share some good information. So when COVID happened, the overdose deaths skyrocketed. People started using again. There was not meetings available at certain places. From 2019 to 2020, I can say every state and nationwide, the number went up, but New Jersey stayed the same. So our ranks were like number 20 instead of like number 4 or 5, with what it used to be. So that's a good thing. There's a lot more programming going on in New Jersey. You know, just a couple more informational facts. In 2013, there was 415,000 opioids prescribed and dispensed, right? In 2021, there's 270,000 opioids prescribed and dispensed. So we're doing something, right? We're prescribing less opioids. We're trying to take care of the situation in another way. I also just have some real quick other things. In 2021, we had a national average of over 107,000 overdose deaths, which means just way too many. 99, that was under 20,000. 2019, 70,000. 2015, 53,000, about 52,000 nationally. There are some things that I just want to mention really quick. What New Jersey is doing, that Woodbridge is following, obviously, the path of the Attorney General and everybody else that we're helping with the county and the prosecutor's office. They're holding drug companies accountable, cracking down on the deadliest opioids, traffickers, facilitating treatment and recovery services for those in need, and that's what we do as Woodbridge Township recovery coaches. Ensuring the safe and appropriate use of prescription opioids, and using data to solve problems and educate the public. And like I said, you know, many times, still to this day, the Narcan is readily available, and I've been passing that around, and that's here to save lives also. And we can only do the best that we can and unite and fight this thing one day at a time with a lot of people, you know. So I really want to thank the town of Woodbridge again for addiction services and the great work that we have accomplished. We'll keep this great fight for every life that come across our path. So let's have a big hand for Woodbridge Addiction Services, the best town around. Mayor John McCormick, Director Phil, Dr. Bonnie Nolan, and the recovery coach team for doing such a great job serving the community that suffers from substance use disorder. And I would like to, after this, welcome Carlos to share his a little bit of hope and his little bit of story on International Overdose Day. So thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Chris. I want to apologize for that helicopter making so much noise. It got pretty close to us here. It's my security detail. I warned them. I said, look, I'm going to be speaking. Don't be so obvious. You can, you know, go out in the woods somewhere, but I'm going to have to talk to them in the morning. Chris mentioned Carlos Mercado from Perth Amboy. We have a terrific relationship with the city of Perth Amboy. Their mayor, Helman Kaba, is new. I think he's in his second year. We work together on a whole lot of things, and this is one of the areas that we definitely communicate and collaborate with that great city. So, Carlos, would you like to say a few words?
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Thank you, Mayor, for supporting this program and this division. And I want to congratulate all my coaches and my co-workers that I worked so hard with. I'm a recovery coach, and I'm here at Woodbridge serving the community. And our job basically is to get out there when the hospitals call and the police department calls us and tells us that there's someone has overdosed. You know, today I was trying to reflect on all the experiences we've had in the past 5 years since we started this, and you know, International Overdose Day is not like a joyous occasion. It's a solemn occasion, right? It's where we take a moment to to just think about the lives that we lost to opiate addiction, right? And you know, no matter what we think these people that we've lost, right, or are caught up in addiction and we've lost them, whatever they did wrong, they were still human beings. And they were still deserving of help and support. And unfortunately, the ones we're talking about today are the ones that we've lost, right? I have so many moments where I was in the emergency room and I was called to a situation. In one particular situation, I remember walking in, speaking to the head nurse in charge, and she gave me a quick breakdown of what the ambulance brought in terms of the patient. When I walked into the patient's room, the doctors were over the patient. There was wires and tubes connected to the person, and the doctors were struggling to keep that person alive. Moments later, the mother and I believe it was a girlfriend had showed up. They were called, obviously, and I remember stepping outside the room with them to just kind of orientate them, to kind of just listen to their concerns, right? And as we were talking, I was standing next to the mother, and the doctor walks out of the doctor walks out of the room and approaches the mother and lets her know that they just lost her son, that he had just passed on him. They couldn't revive him. And in that moment, the mother fainted. She just went down to the floor. And all I could do to help her not hit the floor was to grab her, and I went down with her. And I remember that moment where she was crying in my arms. And that was a difficult moment, not only for me, but for them, for the mother, obviously, who had just lost a son. These are the type of things that we face every day when we work to fight this thing. I had another situation where they lost them because they were brain dead, and the doctors could not bring them back. And I remember having to spend time with the family, in that situation, to just help them absorb the shock of the pain of that loss, and we've had a number of situations like that. Sometimes, and I've said this in our staff meetings, I said sometimes we have more losses than we do successes. So when we have a success and we find somebody that's willing to get some help and make changes in their life, it's like we embrace that, really. Like we want to take that person and just show them the way, right? I'm a recovering addict myself, and lived through overdose myself, and it was during a time where there were no programs. I experienced one moment where I overdosed and I was dragged into a bathroom, thrown in the tub, and ran water on me to see if they can wake me up. When that didn't wake me up, they dragged me out of the place where I was at, and they left me in the hallway. Now, it just happened to be 20 degrees outside and a cold hallway, and so between being soaking wet and the cold floor, it revived me. So today I'm just grateful to be alive and to be able to carry this message to other folks that are still struggling and suffering. So I'm grateful to be here. Thanks again to everyone who supports us. Councilman, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Bonnie, thank you very much for keeping us going. And thank you for letting me share that with you.
Thank you. I'd now like to introduce our guest speaker of the day, which for many of you don't, this person does not need an introduction. Dr. Bonnie Nolan has been with our health department since she started this program many, many years ago. She's no longer directly employed by the township, but I can guarantee you that she is as committed to this as she ever was. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce you now to Dr. Bonnie Nolan.
Hey, Bonnie.
Good luck.
Thank you. All choked up. Carlos, it was beautiful. Thank you. The opioid epidemic is happening. It's happened in 3 waves. It started with pills in 1996. Profit drove people to sell pills that were addictive and pretend they weren't. And so the opioid epidemic raged on. From 1996 to 2010, people became addicted to pills. They started moving to heroin when they couldn't get their pills anymore. And from about 2010 to about 2016, heroin killed way too many people. Heroin isn't killing people anymore. This is why Opioid Awareness Day is so important, because the mayor's way ahead. He's been ahead of it for a long time. He recognized there were bodies. Let's go to the bodies and find out what's killing them, what's happening. Heroin isn't killing people anymore. Fentanyl is killing people. We all need to know that. And Awareness Day is important because it helps us learn new things. If we're not aware that fentanyl is out there and we think that we're dealing with the same drug that we were dealing with before, we're going to continue to lose people. Before COVID, we were starting to get a handle on this thing. We were starting to get the death numbers down. We're still doing that in Middlesex County and Woodbridge Township, but nationwide they're creeping back up again. That's because of fentanyl. I wonder, I get a report from the prosecutor's office that tells me of the samples that are seized, what percentage are pure heroin. Does anybody want to venture a guess how many were heroin? Of the all the samples seized last month or even in the last year? Zero. Some most had no heroin at all. It's fentanyl now. It's a different drug. And it's continuing to kill people, and it will kill more people. When people relapse, when people try heroin for the first time, they're dying from it. It's really important that we understand that. When somebody goes to a hospital, do you know how often they get tested for fentanyl? Never. Hospitals don't test for fentanyl, here or anywhere. It's highly unusual for a hospital to test for fentanyl. This is why awareness is so important. Opioid awareness is so important. We need to keep fighting the fight. The people, I'm preaching to the choir, you're all amazing, and you've been with us from the beginning. The coaches, Road to Hope, you really have been a road to hope for so many people. I mean, because of the work of Road to Hope and the fundraising efforts that the mayor helped us set up a fund that allows people to obtain sober living after being in treatment, we have helped hundreds of people find a place to live when they had thought they'd burned all their bridges. Hundreds of people got back on the road to recovery and have built lives for themselves. Sure, Carlos was right. We have losses, of course. That's why we're here, unfortunately. But as long as we're aware, as long as we have towns like Woodbridge and the mayor, people who are willing to look past the stigma and recognize that we're dealing with an illness and that greed is still killing people. Fentanyl is all about greed. It's all about profit. As long as we recognize that and recognize that the people who are dying are victims, they're victims of a disease and still victims of profit, then we can continue to fight this fight. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity. This has been the greatest opportunity of my life. And I'm so grateful for it. And I'm so grateful to all of you, to Chris, to Gabby, Michelle, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bonnie. If we could have, we're going to raise the flag now. If anybody would like to join us and raise the flag, those of you who are coaches or in recovery yourselves, any of you that would like to come up and raise the flag, please do so.